Hi, and welcome to Main Street AI, the podcast where traditional businesses are quietly revolutionizing their operations with artificial intelligence and winning. In this podcast, I sit down with industry leaders from law firms and professional services, fitness and membership services entrepreneurs, and other Main Street businesses to explore their AI journey. We dive into the opportunities they see, the challenges they're navigating, and the real impact of AI on their industries. Whether you're AI curious or ready to implement, this show brings you insights from leaders who are actually using this technology to serve customers better, empower employees, and drive profitable growth. AI isn't just changing how lawyers work, it's transforming how they charge. Jonathan Breeden, owner of Breeden Law in Raleigh, sees it happening in real time. Family law is moving at warp speed from hourly billing to fixed fees. The paradox? A divorce complaint that used to take a week now takes just minutes with AI. Great for clients, terrible for hourly revenue. Smart firms are restructuring fast, charging by the page, implementing minimum billing clauses, or shifting entirely to fixed fees. The real opportunity is fixed fees plus AI efficiency equals exponential growth. Jonathan breaks down the math. $7,000 for temporary custody, whether it settles in 2 weeks or goes to trial, $10,000 per trial day. Some family law attorneys are now hitting $1 million per year. Hourly attorneys, they hit a ceiling. Jonathan went from 3 employees to 24 in 5 years, 6x in revenue, by combining AI tools with systems, offshore teams, and relentless communication. His mission? Using these efficiencies to help more children escape bad situations and serve more families. Let's dive in. All right, welcome back to the Main Street Podcast. I'm Stephen Whittier, Satori Coach IO, and I'm here with Jonathan Breeden of Breeden Law in North Carolina. Jonathan, thank you for joining us.
For having me, Stephen. I'm looking forward to it.
Excellent. Just to start off, we always just ask for you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and your firm from a high level.
My name is Jonathan Breeden. I'm the owner and founder of the Breeden Law Offices here in the suburbs of Raleigh, North Carolina. We are a full-service family law firm that's been in business for 25 years. We do all types of family law: child custody, divorce, property distribution, alimony, child support, guardianship, and simple wills. So if it involves your family and it's in the greater Raleigh, North Carolina area, we try to help people out. We've been primarily doing just family law for the last 16 or 17 years. I started out in 2000 sort of as a general practitioner out here in the suburbs of Raleigh, in the fast-growing suburbs, where I did a little criminal defense. I did a little bit of everything: civil law, civil work, this, that, and the other. But we transitioned to focus on family law in about 2007 or 2008. We currently have 7 other attorneys other than me. We have 4 team members in El Salvador that answer our phones. We have 2 team members in the Philippines who work as virtual assistants. We have several paralegals, a consultant, a COO. So I think there's about 22 or 23 of us in total. We serve clients all around the triangle of North Carolina. Raleigh, the #1 place in America. Everybody wants to live in Raleigh. It's also one of the fastest growing areas in America. So it's very transient. So you have to do a lot of marketing because, half the people weren't here 10 years ago. I mean, it hasn't doubled in 10 years, but it's doubling pretty fast. So anyway, so it's been a ton of fun, and I love talking to people like you, Stephen. Love being on podcasts. I have my own podcast, Best of Johnston County. It's sort of a community podcast where I interview, small business owners, mayors, congressmen, beauty queens, the local PTA school president, anything that does with the community here in Johnston County, which is the county where I-95 and I-40 meet. If you've been down I-95 or been on I-40, that is where we meet. That is about 10 miles from my office. So I do have the 2 biggest interstates in the United States intersecting right here in my county, just southeast of Raleigh.
Fantastic. And I'll talk to you a little bit about, we were chatting really quick before we went live. We're talking a little bit about your growth, which is very impressive for a locally oriented practice. But first, sort of to the main thrust, which I'm always interested in talking about, is AI. And I know you'd said, as is the case with many people today, I use it, but I wouldn't consider myself an expert in it. but I am interested a bit in how you are using it currently, and then we can get into a little bit about what you see for any trends or issues involving the use of AI in your field. So first, let's just start with how you're using it.
Yeah, right now we have Clio Draft, which is okay at drafting documents. It's not the best program out there, but we have Clio, and so it does integrate fairly well with Clio, since it's another Clio product. Clio being, Stephen, you may be aware of that, but it is
Yes.
probably the most popular case management, law office management system in the world right now. And it's continuing to grow fast. It's all online, and I think it does a great job. Clear's not perfect, but it has been a big help to me over the last 7 years since I've had it, and so I am definitely a Clio fan. But so we use that to draft some of the complaints for divorces, some of the things that we sort of draft over and over, sort of fill in the blanks, and it puts it out. It does save us a little bit of time, but the problem we're having currently with Clio Draft is the output becomes a PDF. Now, if it's not exactly right, it becomes very difficult to edit, to get it to be exactly right. And in any divorce, it has to be exactly right. And not every divorce is the same, so there can be some nuances, right? I'm not doing bankruptcy. I'm not doing immigration. So it is, these things are sort of more unique than you would get in bankruptcy or immigration or some other practice areas, where you're dealing with the same forms over and over.
Right.
So we're having to figure out how to use it the best we can. But the hard part right now for us is it is producing a PDF, which can be hard to edit.
Gotcha. I know you'd mentioned you are using ChatGPT as well, and
we use some of that as well. I think that I've got a lot of young attorneys here who use it way more than I do. But you can use it for some legal research and to get some general ideas. You got to be careful; it will tell you the wrong answer a lot. I used it the other day, and I was looking for something, and it gave me the wrong answer. It was something about property law and neighbors. If your tree root grows into the neighbor's driveway, are you responsible? And it said yes, but you're not. So there's stuff like that. Well, at least in North Carolina, you're not. I don't know about the rest of the country, but so anyway, so it's and then we try to use it some, along with skip tracing and stuff to find people. You know what I mean? Because we're often trying to find. We just got a custody the other day where nobody's heard from the mom in 10 years and the dad died.
Wow.
So trying to find this mom to notify her that the dad is dead and that, grandma is now trying to get custody of this kid. And, you can use it for stuff like that. And we probably should use it for more. I have this fear, and this is my lack of knowledge of how public it is when you start talking about attorney-client privilege and people's names. And I don't, at this point, understand how it is not public. So I don't want to put Stephen Whittier's name out there, as part of a draft to tell me to write error. You know what I mean? And so some of that's just probably my lack of knowledge. But you got to be real careful with attorney-client privilege and whether you own and where it's going to go, because I was always told that whatever you put in there is free to the world, and that's how it learns. But then I read or heard somewhere that maybe not quite that way if you have certain subscription levels. So I'm not sure.
Absolutely. These are some of the common concerns that we're hearing, and in particular in law, when it comes to the people realizing that they still need to do lawyer work. they can't just output something and be blind to the fact that AI can hallucinate. These LLMs can hallucinate, so they still need to make sure that they're verifying all their work. And then there is also the privacy issues. Are there any other fears or uncertainty that you have encountered yourself or maybe have heard about in the field that we didn't cover yet?
One thing that if you're a family lawyer and you're doing hourly billing, or you're in the hourly billing world, you know, efficiency kind of can be a catch-22.
Mm-hmm.
Because you do bill by the hour. Now I am looking at it like it can speed up some of the drafting and some of the admin stuff. That is more time we can spend actually litigating and doing the lawyer stuff for the clients. But I do think there are some people that are afraid that if I get too good at this, it's going to cost me money. So one of the things that I have seen there is law firms charging by the page drafted, not by the time it takes to draft. So you have hourly firms who are putting in their fee agreement, and if it's in the fee agreement, it's pretty much legal. It's my understanding with the state bar in most situations, that they're going to charge you $75 a page, not how much time it took them and their AI or Clio Draft or whatever to draft it. So if it's a 3-page summary divorce, okay, and they can do it in 15 minutes or less, instead of just charging paralegal at $200 an hour for 15 minutes, they're charging that client $225. And that's how they're doing. Or they put in the fee agreement that drafting any motion or complaint will be a minimum fee of 1 hour of time. Okay. And so those are ways that firms are, even still in the hourly thing, sort of heading off and trying to make money where they bank the efficiency, but they bank the money as well.
Yes. Interesting. So I've been hearing this part of the conversation for a little bit now. I'm wondering if you think that in the future, where things are trending along these lines, that there might be a more global shift in the entire pricing model or fee structure for attorneys in general.
Well, family lawyers are already moving at warp speed to fixed fees and flat fees. And criminal law has been in the flat fees for 50 years. I mean, that's always been criminal law. You know what I mean? I don't know any hourly criminal law. So I do think that we are seeing here that is where it's moving. And so, what I'm seeing more than anything is a fixed fee by procedure. Okay, and so you're going to pay me. I don't do this, but from do $7,000 for temporary custody. That's all you're going to pay. If I settle it in 2 weeks, I get $7,000. If you go to mediation and settle it, I get $7,000. If you try it 9 months from now, if you can't get a court date in Raleigh or some of these cities, I get $7,000. And so, and then if we need to do child support, that's $5,000. So whatever I have to do to get to a child support order, agreement, trial, settlement, whatever, that's $5,000. And then if you need permanent custody, that's $10,000 per day the trial is proposed to go. So if it gets set for 2 days, you owe $20,000. If it settles, you get to keep the $20,000. Like, so whatever has to be done. Now, if you do that and you price it correctly and you can sell it, you can make a lot more money per attorney than you ever could in an hourly billing. There are attorneys doing family law out there that I know that are fixed fees that can generate $1 million a year. When an hourly attorney, unless you're in LA or New York City, probably not going to generate $1 million a year. No. And so I do see that coming. Some states, like Wisconsin, allow you to bill by the day. In Illinois and North Carolina, do not. So there's that month where you're going to pay $8,000 for every 90 days, whether we do anything or not. And of course, my incentive is to be doing something, so you'll pay the next. So, there's that model as well. So I do think that is where family law is going. Bankruptcy's already there, right? Chapter 7's 2,400, 2,495. Chapter 13's 3,400. I don't know, somewhere in that ballpark. I know people are still doing bankruptcies. Chapter 7's for 1995. I don't have any idea how they're making any money doing that, but they're trying. I think that's not a good decision. So I do think that hourly billing probably goes away at some point. I don't want to switch to fixed fees because I've got a lot of brand new attorneys that don't know how to work these cases. They don't know how hard they need to work. They're not sure how to move them. And until I can get them trained up a little bit, I don't think that it would be a good move to go to fixed fee because I'm not sure what they would do or not do, but they know how many hours they have to bill them. And these are all attorneys with 3 years or less experience who work for me, except for one supervising attorney. So, selling fixed fee is one thing. Training attorneys to move the cases and work as hard as they can. On fixed fee, a lot of these law firms only pay the associates a percentage of the fixed fee. So if the fee is $10,000, the associate may get 20%. So the associate gets $2,000, then the fee is considered earned. The firm gets the fee immediately. The associate's paid when the temporary custody order is signed by the judge. If it's by consent, by mediation, by trial, that's when the associate gets paid. So, there's that model under fixed fee as well. Under that scenario, the law firm can't lose money and then the associate is hungry and they keep billing because they want to get paid because there's no minimum. So they've got to be closing out cases where they're not going to eat.
Very interesting. That's great. That's some fantastic information there. Really fascinating, some of the implications of this. And so we talked a little bit about the negatives. That's a potential positive in terms of where the trends are going. Is there anything else that gets you excited about AI in the field right now in terms of potential?
The main thing a lot of people ask me, like, are you concerned you're going to get replaced? And the answer is no, right? Because I'm an advocate, right? My lawyers go to court every day on our feet in court, arguing for our clients and what we think are best for their children and stuff like that. So no computer is going to be an advocate, right? If you're doing criminal law, I don't think you're getting replaced. If you're doing family law, I don't think you're getting replaced. If you're doing real estate law, I'm not sure. If you're doing some other types of law, I'm not sure what happens, right? So I do not hear it as replacing me. You know what I mean? I do think it does help people do the basics of representing themselves easier, which is fine, but it also gets them in trouble because just because you can get it filed in the correct format doesn't mean you have any idea what the rules of evidence are or what that judge is looking for or how to present a case. You know what I mean? So, so there's some of that. Maybe I'm getting, I don't know. I feel like all of a sudden I got old, Stephen, right? I'm 50 years old. It's uphill both ways in the snow. These lawyers that work for me basically were born when I started practicing law. So I get into some of that, but I probably don't know enough to be and that's probably the truth.
Sure. The other thing, since you're regional, I thought it would be interesting to ask too. Are you doing any marketing advertising where AI is also entered into the picture?
I have a marketing company that helps me, Postali out of Columbus, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe they are using it some. I know that, but I can't say exactly how. I'll tell you what, though, it is scary how you can target ads, right?
Yes.
I can target an ad to a household where somebody is married and searching dating apps.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's like I can only show my TV commercials, which I'm getting ready to shoot, to houses where somebody in that house has searched the word divorce. And my supervising attorney is starting to see some of our opponents or some of our competitors, if we have competitors, TV commercials at her house through these streaming apps. Well, she works from home. Well, while she's not getting a divorce, she's going to see all those ads, including mine, because she's constantly searching those terms and working with those terms on her computer because she's a divorce lawyer.
Yes.
So so it's a pretty interesting thing. It's a little scary, how they can target these ads now. And I know they're using some AI to be able to do that, but when they told me that they could send the ad to somebody who was married and on a dating app, I about fell out the chair.
Yeah.
I was like, you've got to be kidding me. And there's all these retargeting and all that kind of stuff. And I don't have a complete understanding of it. But I mean, we do some, right? I mean, our base advertising right now is pay-per-click, local service ads, a couple directory listings. I mean, that's basically what we're doing right now. We're going to get into TV, have a few radio ads. We sponsor the high school football game of the week. We got a few radio ads like that. I help call some high school football games on an internet radio station. I enjoy doing that. I do radio. But I don't know. I'm sure they are, but I'm not absolutely sure how they're doing.
Great. Excellent. Now I'll turn a little bit from the AI specific conversation over to a little bit more specifically about your firm and your growth. So you had told me again right before we got on some of the impressive growth that you've had over recent years. Just speak to that a little bit. And then what would be great is to get your perspective on where you are relative to your industry, like say, like a regional family law. Where are you at in your firm related to the industry as a whole in terms of growth? Do you consider yourself on the smaller side, mid side, so on and so forth? And just talk a little bit about everything that you were speaking of before.
Yeah, we've been in June of 2020, I had 3 employees and they all quit at the same time during COVID for varying reasons. That was really sort of an inflection point. When we hired Postali in 2016, they quickly built us one of the top 10 family law websites in North Carolina. And so within a year, all of a sudden, I went from having not very many leads, more leads than I knew what to do with. But I had no understanding of why my business was starting to grow. But the growth was capped out at the amount of work I and a series of either my wife's friends working while their kids were in preschool, or my wife while my daughter was in preschool, or some paralegal straight out of school because I didn't want to pay what a paralegal knew what they were doing cost, and I wasn't charging enough money. I now know. So these were all the issues I was having 2017 into 2019. 2019, I had a series of associates between 2009 and 2015. There was a gluttony of attorneys. I didn't pay any of them $40,000, and I used them as paralegals because they were cheaper than actual paralegals. They could cover some courts for me, but they didn't have their own cases. They would all stay 12 to 18 months, and they would leave. In 2019, I hired an attorney, a very good attorney out of Raleigh with 10 years experience. He was a very good lawyer, and I doubled the business overnight because as soon as I could do that many more consults, we could take that many more cases. We literally doubled the business overnight. But I still didn't understand how I doubled the business, right? I just knew it doubled, right? And so I figured, okay, I need to get a coach, right? I need to get some scripts. I need to get some consistency here. I got to learn about KPIs. I got to learn about structure. It became clear to me that I could really run this thing up, but I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And so I hired a coach, Richard James, your practice mastered in May of 2020 in the middle of COVID. And I just started doing what he said. He had scripts to answer the phone, and we started trying to answer the phone the same way every time. I also learned about offshoring employees, and you offshore, nearshore, whatever, using employees in other countries to help you. Didn't know anything about that. I didn't know what a CRM was, client relationship manager. I had no idea. Like, you manage your leads, So I messed around with Clio Draft some, and it was new back then. This is 2020, and it didn't do the best, and we didn't really know how to use it. But I think Clio Grow is a much better product now as then, and I got friends who use it and do well. We don't use Clio Grow, but we ended up getting a CRM. We got one called Four Eyes that the business coach was an investor in it, and it's 4IIZ, and they've done a nice job for us. But we're looking at maybe switching to a new one. So we started using these things. We got a coach. We learned about CRMs. We learned about offshore employees. We learned about chats. Integra chats like that. So I think that really allowed us to start really doing a better job with the leads we had, because one thing that we do is that crowd in El Salvador, we make 600 to 800 outbound dials a week, cold leads, right? Now lawyers can't just call anybody, right? Legal ethics say you can only call somebody who's called you. You call me, you download my book, or I know you're working on a white paper, Stephen. I got a white paper. You download my white paper, download my book. You call me, whatever. You answer an ad. Once I have your information, I can call you till you die, buy, or unsubscribe.
Right.
And so we do have a follow-up sequence for that as well.
In that, so that's some really impressive growth. And then, what would you say? I always like to kind of get your own perspective about what your firm does exceptionally well. I know your specialty is all these different aspects of family law. But one way to frame that is, what do you continue to hear from your clients over and over again that they say positively about their experience with you?
Communication, right? It's communication. I think we do an extremely good job of communicating, and the things that people want from an attorney. If it's a family lawyer, I don't care what kind of lawyer you are, they want to be communicated with, and they want it over. Right? If you can do those two things, you can move the case and communicate with them and try to get it over as fast as possible. That's 90% of the practice of law. And communicating is the one thing lawyers do the worst at, right? Like the customer service level for lawyers, the bar is laying on the ground. Joey Coleman talks about it in his book, Never Lose Customer Again. It just is on the ground, because most law firms have more than they can do. They don't have systems. They don't have a structure. They're not charging enough money. They don't have enough help. They don't communicate with their clients. They don't move the cases, and they just play this, what I call firefighter law. This is on fire, I put it out. And it usually is on fire 48 hours for the hearing. And we don't do that, right? We're proactive. We're always wanting the ball in the other court. You send me an offer, you get a response. I send you an offer, wait for the response. You ask me for a document, I try to get it. I ask you for a document, I may not get it. But I always want to be waiting on the other side. We spend a lot of time waiting on the other side because they don't have the systems in place to file cases, move cases, track of cases, communicate. And I think ultimately it starts with they don't charge the right fee. I think too many lawyers don't charge enough money to be able to do what needs to be done. They're too busy charging what everybody else charges.
Yeah, that's a great point. And that communication piece too is very key. I actually had another attorney that answered pretty much the same way. He said this is a real weak spot in this whole industry, in the business model, is a very slow response rate. So,
Stephen, this is no joke. I have gone to court and introduced lawyers to their clients. Like, they come up to me and said, Jonathan, like, all right, who's out looking in the audience? 30 people sitting in the audience. Like, who's my client? I'm like, that's her over there. Okay. Like, they don't know.
right.
Criminal law, same way, right? Like, they don't know who their clients are. Like their intake teams did it. Paralegal interviewed them, whatever, took the money. They don't know anything about it. They haven't even met their client before they get to court. That's crazy, but that's where we're at.
It's remarkable. And then where would you, so growth-wise, really rapid growth, put a lot of systems in place, got coaching, so invested in that, very smart. And then where are you looking in the more short term now? What would your goals be for the next, say, 6 to 12 months?
Right now we're trying to hire, right? Who knows how big this could be if we could find enough attorneys than paralegals, right? I mean, it's extremely difficult to find enough attorneys that want to do this the way we want to do it and have the personality and the values that we have. Right? You're trying to hire for a set of values that can be hard to find. And we're dealing with mainly young attorneys, so we have turnover due to they've never had a job and they don't know how hard they have to work and they don't want to bill enough hours, or they really don't like family law because the people are emotionally draining because some of them are mentally ill, some of them some of them have personality disorder, some of them are blaming you for stuff that is out of your control. Right. It's the law in family law is not hard. The people you represent are hard, and the opposing attorneys are hard because I think some of them have some of the same problems as their clients. But attorneys are human beings. There's nothing special.
Sure.
So we lose people because they don't want to do family law, and then because we also have young attorneys, we lose people because they move away. They're they go to get married or move back home or whatever. So we're struggling with getting and keeping and training enough attorneys. And that's nationwide, Steve. And I don't know how many people you talk to on this podcast. Like if you're in an area, there is a shortage of attorneys that want to do family law. I don't know about the rest of the law, but there's definitely attorney short. And so, what we're doing is hiring. We're always hiring, right? And if we can find, 2 or 3 or 4 more attorneys that want to do it the way we want to do it and have our values, then we can grow this business another 25 or 30% next year. I think that the sky is the limit. The only really lid on how big this business goes and how many people we can serve will be on our ability to hire and train attorneys. For whatever reason, mid-career attorneys don't want to come to the suburbs. They don't want to cover the counties. They want to stay in one county, one courthouse, and one set of judges. It's fine. I mean, that's their right. The way my firm is structured, I don't have partners, no equity partners. So it's not set up for people that are mid or late career per se, because some people want to be partner. They want to get a share. They want to get their name on the door. I don't have any of that, right? And so as a result, I do think, this firm is largely going to be set up for young attorneys, to bring them in, train them up, and then possibly see them move on down the road. And so, I mean, and that's where we're at. So it's really about when we hire enough attorneys that want to do it our way, that have our values. Mm-hmm. Because they don't have our values, they're gonna struggle here. You know what I mean? Like we're not a family. I mean, we're a work group, but we're a work group that has to get along.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Culture is extremely important. Shared vision. You'd mentioned training too. So the hiring's one thing, and you are correct that from what I've been hearing, not just in family law, but the shortage and then the turnover are pretty universal challenges right now. But the other side of it, you mentioned the training. How much of a challenge is that specifically once you do make a hire in terms of your time, energy, and resources?
Well, until 2 years ago, it was a nightmare and we weren't doing a very good job. But we were able to convince a really good attorney, Steve, one of the bigger firms in Raleigh, to come out here and work for us and become our supervising attorney. And so he doesn't have a lot of cases. And so her job is to watch and train the young attorneys, go to court, watch them, act like a coach, point out their mistakes, review the drafts before they go out, help them with the strategy, make sure that we're moving the cases along. So that's her primary role. And that has been a big help for these young attorneys because most law firms don't have that. They're not dedicating the entire person to helping these other people. But if I can get 6 or 7 young attorneys to be successful and provide a good product, that's a lot more money for me than this one very good attorney could bill for me. And so it's almost like a machine, right? You gotta sacrifice that attorney's billing to get the other people billing so that you end up getting more money. And I do think that that's a mistake a lot of law firms make. They have a supervisor, but the supervisor has a full caseload. They don't have time to actually supervise. And here we've taken most of the cases away from her he currently has some of the uncontested divorces because we're down an attorney. But until 2 weeks ago, he had like 4 or 5 cases, and these are cases that were direct referral to her because they know her, she represented them before, stuff like that. And so that has been a big help for these young attorneys. Now, look, I'm still losing them. I mean, I struggle to bat 40% of 12 months. Anybody listening to this does, but at least they're not leaving saying they weren't supported, they weren't trained, or whatever. They're leaving for, I don't want to live in Raleigh anymore. I don't want to do family law anymore. Or we're moving on from them because they don't work hard enough. And sometimes not working hard enough, not building enough hours is a sign that they really don't want to be doing what they're doing. They don't want to ask for what they're doing, which is why they're not doing it. And so you're actually doing them a favor by moving on from them and helping them be a superstar somewhere else. And I've got a great relationship with several attorneys that I fired who are so much happier doing something else that I helped them get outside of family law that they're getting. One of them texted me a few minutes ago, offering to send me somebody that they think does a good job to help me. And that's somebody I fired. So, think like that.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great way to go about it, maintaining the relationship and just making sure everybody is a good fit for what you do. Fantastic.
So I mean, I wish I do use a personality exercise. It's the Hartman Personality Exercise. A guy named Jay Henderson, realtalenthiring.com. He's written several books on how to hire rock stars. He's got a new book that came out. We use him. I found him through the business coach. That test written by Dr. Hartman and Stephen Covey before Stephen Covey died. Stephen Covey wrote the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Him and a friend of his at Vanderbilt in the 1970s developed this test. I don't know how it works, but it is spot on. If it tells you somebody is manipulative or they're dishonest, you can absolutely take it to the bank. Tells you that they only want to do things the way they want to do things and they're not going to listen, you can take it to the bank. And so you can, it's hard to get people through it because it tells you some information. If you hire people, you know what you're getting if you use that exercise, and it's true. And it's either you can deal with it or not, but it's a real good thing to use.
Absolutely, yeah. They can be eerily accurate.
Well, I took it and I was like, if it said hire me, I was like, I'll never give it to another person. It was like, don't hire this guy. And I'm like, sold.
Fantastic. Where I like to usually wrap up is just you told me about your growth. You've told me about your objectives. Like right now, got to overcome this challenge of getting in some more attorneys that are able to help you grow, that are also aligned to your mission, vision, and way of doing things. But what would you say is your personal why? Your big driving motivation behind what you do that gets you out of bed in the morning?
Helping children. I mean, that's why I do it. Like, I didn't go to law school to do family law. I went to law school to do criminal defense. And I helped a lot of criminal defendants. But as I got a chance to help young families and help children, it became addictive. You know what I mean? Like just getting children out of bad situations into better situations, getting children to be able to have a relationship with both parents is where they wouldn't have that if you didn't help. It's a lot because it gives those kids a chance to be the best that they can be. They didn't ask for a lot of these circumstances that they've been put in, didn't ask for their parents to go through a divorce, but they do have the right to be able to have a relationship with both parents if both parents are healthy and wanting to have that relationship. So the fact that we can help these kids have relationships with both parents and also get kids out of really bad situations. I mean, like there's a lot of bad stuff out there that goes through. I had no idea. People, mental health, drugs, alcohol, domestic violence. There's a lot of stuff kids live through. And we've had kids that were in dog cages. I mean, like just bad stuff that people. We've had cases where the mom was being tortured by the father in front of the kids. I mean, it's just bad stuff, right? And if you can get children out of that, they may not grow up to be lawyers, but at least they got a chance. And so that's why I do this is to help kids be better, help kids have relationships with both parents, help children have the best chance that they can do. The other thing is, if you can help a victim of domestic violence get out of that and move on with their life and start a new life, violence, That's a good thing for society too. I'm not a feng shui, all this stuff, but I do think the more positivity you can put in the world, which is why I do the community podcast, Best of Johnson County. Put positivity into the world, the better the world's going to be.
That's fantastic. That's a great perspective. Really appreciate that. I think I would hope more people in family law have that motivation for what they do. That's excellent. So I really appreciate all your insights. I know you're a little bit reticent to talk about the AI, but you actually gave a lot of great angles that we hadn't discussed before. So that turned out to be very fruitful. And I guess the last thing is you just let people know. I know you're regional, but anybody that might be in the Raleigh, North Carolina region, just let them know how to reach you and contact you.
Yeah, if if you're interested in what we've done, we've been on, I don't know, 25 podcasts telling this story from different angles, mindset podcast, AI podcast. If you go to my website, breedenfirm.com, if you go to In the Media, it's got a link to all the podcasts I've been on. Do that. I'm Jonathan Breeden, Nathan, Breeden, Breeden on LinkedIn. I'm also on X at Breeden Law NC. I'm on YouTube at Breeden Law Office. I'm on TikTok at Breeden Law Office. So I'm about everywhere. I enjoy, sharing insights. I share clips of my podcast on LinkedIn. I also share some insights and stuff I learned. I'm friends with a lot of the in the business coaching world. I meet a lot of the people that are cutting edge in this country on law. I know some of the biggest bankruptcy attorneys. Sometimes I share stuff I learned from them. If you're interested in coaching, like I said, I would reach out to Richard James and Your Practice Mastered. They do a great job. Their focus is on helping firms get from 750,000 to $2.5 million in revenue in less than 5 years. And they've been able to do that successfully for a lot of people. So the other thing is your mindset, right? Like one of the things I didn't talk about, I know we got to go, is your mindset had to change after all those improvements, right? I had to figure out a way to deal with my anxiety. I had to got myself back into counseling and started listening to mindset podcasts and trying to be more positive and see positive in the world. I love to listen to the Mindset Mentor with Bob Dahl Jr., the Successful Mind podcast. Those are two of my favorite mindset podcasts that are out there. Read the book, Think and Grow Rich. Everybody should read the book Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, came out in 1932. It's a fascinating book about anything you think about, you can bring about. And so it's all of that, right? It's the mind, it's the body, it's the spirit, it's the knowledge of systems and how to structure, understanding how many leads you have, how many sets you have, how many shows you have, how many hires you have, what is your average face value. So you can start to get, you have to be able to do all these things and scale like I've scaled. So anybody can do it. If I can do it, anybody can do it. But you have to learn and you have to be persistent and you have to not quit.
Fantastic. Thank you for those recommendations too. Really appreciate that. Sure, that's a lot of value for everybody you just spit out right there. So
no doubt.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much, Jonathan. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.